Alrighty, hello everyone. Hi, Kalia, Jason, Dan. I hope it's not blurry again. Can you guys let me know if it's blurry?
Alrighty, hello everyone.
You don't
Hi,
want that.
Kalia, Jason, Dan. I hope it's not blurry again. Can you guys let me know if it's blurry?
You
Alrighty, hello everyone.
don't
Hi,
want that.
Kalia,
My hands are pretty.
Jason,
Oh, one second,
Dan.
guys.
I hope it's not blurry again. Can you guys let me know if it's blurry?
Alrighty, sorry. I've got that off. It must have been a bit of an echo there. Let me just get this now on the right screen. Um, how many do we have here? We've got over 20, which is great. I've just muted it so it shouldn't be so silly anymore. Um, yeah, there's not echo anymore. Yeah, don't worry, guys. You guys are delayed. Um, yes. Alrighty, well, let's get kick started now. Yeah, don't worry. I knew there was double. I could hear it myself. Um, let's get started. There's over 20 of you here, which is great from the newcomers. It's good that you guys can rock up. Obviously, I'll actually press. Actually, no, it gets auto recorded anyway onto YouTube, so we can. G'day, Mike. Um, important dates to look out for. In terms of what, Jason? Sorry. Uh, important dates to look out for. Fed. Funk dates. I assumed you mean Jason the rate cut or. Uh, Actually, I've been slightly getting it wrong. I keep generically saying September 20, but if that's what you're wondering about the rate cut date, it's actually the 16th to the 17th is where FOMC is held by the Federal Reserve in the United States. So that will be the 17th to 18th for us. So whether the decision on the rate cut should officially be the 18th of September. Um, I wouldn't focus too much around that date. What we should be focusing on is the price action leading into it and the outlook for after that. Um, because at the moment, this rate cut really, with it being 90% priced in, it was high as 100% a couple of weeks ago. It's been kind of wishy-washy, but one would assume it's priced in, and that's why it's becoming a bit of a sell the news event, and majority is selling. But I don't necessarily think that'll be the case thereafter. But it is why I have briefly discussed um, that we're going to chop or see bearish price action into that event. But it kind of I would prefer that because it probably means that the gains or the sustained strength in the market that we hopefully get from the rate cuts is um, seen afterwards, as opposed to rallying really hard into it and then it being a sell the news and then us not seeing any good price action for the rest of the year into 2026. So we've got over 30 of us here. That's awesome. That's really, really good numbers. I'm glad everyone's here. I probably doubt that many. Sorry that I posted the update kind of late. Um, I do kind of finish it around 6. I was smashing it out this afternoon. It was a heavy technical price action update with a lot of information on the charts. But really, this was the setup for September and the coming weeks and months. And I really just wanted to use that update to outline all of my thoughts on a high time frame. So for the DXY, which for those that don't know is the USD, um, is a basket of the 5 strongest currencies against the USD. That's how we measure the strength. Once again, for those that have been around long enough, you should know this or definitely already, given you should have read a lot of these market updates. But we have an inverse correlation with the DXY, that is the stock markets, commodities, and Bitcoin. So, as you've probably seen in research reports, um, in market updates, is that I want to be bearish on the DXY. I want the DXY to go down to these lower levels, and to generically explain. I mean, we pretty much picked it perfectly from January. For those that were here, you remember I had this kind of predictive idea that we were in kind of a 2-year range on the DXY, seeing sustained strength leading into an election. What happened last time in 2017 was Trump did the exact same playbook. He tricked everyone into thinking he wanted a really strong US dollar. It topped right at the inauguration of 2017. This is the exact 1414 extension. If you pull from low to high to low, you get that extension up there, just as you do here to here. And really, we just saw the exact same thing play out magically via the charts and fundamentally. But really, the thesis is here is now that he's crashed the USD, is that it really fundamentally to me, I can't see any further sustained strength in it for now. As I mentioned in the market update, if you had a chance to read, I pretty much said there's no reason for me to be bullish on the USD now until that macro picture changes. And the current macro picture is there's a 90% chance of a rate cut, right? And with that rate cut comes more money printing, and really a weakened USD or DXY. Oh, I've got the actual charts up here. Um, so let's get this up here. Um, and so that's why I've marked out these lower levels and really, hopefully, on a higher time frame. Usually over a higher time frame, this means that Bitcoin and stock markets could continue upwards. So that's why you see me do it in the kind of this order of a market update. For those that don't know, is I talk about the DXY first, and then given we're inversely correlated to that, what that means for stock markets, then what that means for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is now highly correlated to um, to the stock markets, given the institutional demand in the market, who the marginal buyers and sellers are. We closely correlate to the Nasdaq and S&P 500. So this is why I'm always providing this extra analysis for you guys as well, so you can get a broader picture of all financial markets, not just Bitcoin. And even more importantly, this is something that the Advanced Investor course goes over. It explains macroeconomics. This is a macroeconomic game now. Back in the day when it was maximized quantitative easing, throughout the world, where interest rates are pretty much 0 to 0.25%, all around the globe, is that macro didn't matter because markets were just free risk on, right? And that's why you saw these female retail uh, retail kind of FOMO bubbles pop. Then these gains, and I've showed that chart in many different research reports, articles, and more. Um, what is the price of Bitcoin? Nice, we're getting a little pump. By the way, whilst I'm explaining this, guys, feel free to send through the questions. We've had none yet except one from Jason. So this is for you guys, not for me. Um, but if we go on the log scale weekly chart here, this is showing the cycles of Bitcoin. But if I get this up here, and I show the difference in the cycle, this cycle to every other cycle, right? So back in the day when it was just retail, and all there was FOMO bubbles that popped, and then extensive, downtrends and drawdowns of 80%. Is the market's now changed to institutional, right? We have real investors in the market, and you can literally see, like, visually how different this bull market has been. So we had we just got really aggressive pumps, really aggressive dumps, really aggressive pumps, really aggressive dumps, really aggressive pumps, really aggressive dump. But this cycle we had ETF accumulation and ETFs accepted. We have corporate treasuries such as Michael Saylor really kicking into gear. Nation states such as the US, El Salvador, and more involved. And you can really see how clean the institutional structural bid has been and how different this bull market has been to every other single one. That was a parabola in technical terms. Um, Peter, do I have any females on my mind? I must have, to be honest, if I was calling retail females. Maybe there is one on my mind, Peter. That's a great question from you. What do you suggest from old mate? What do you suggest as a minimum buy into your suggested coins? So old mate, that's exactly why we have the unit structuring, um, and the research reports for you to read. Really important that you go over your onboarding. I kind of say, I've said this to Moose and a couple of others recently. Uh, you, you really, the onboarding is there for you guys to make the absolute most of this service, but it's there more importantly because um, it's what gets you on track. Most people don't do it. They skip over it, they skim read it, and then they come and ask me every question in the Discord that's answered in the onboarding. So this research report is really important for you to look at, old mate. It talks about how to invest using units. Um, and more importantly, I've got more. I might redo this research report because it seems to be a pretty interesting one. But really, how much you invest is based on um, that. So you really, if you follow my dollar cost averaging and accumulation zones, is it tells you on every single one, and I do recommend if you do have the means that on every high conviction investment, you do at least get a minimum of an entry into every single coin there if you want, and you agree with them after reading the analyses. But the reason I say that is because you're going to come for people that come and they might only invest in two or three. You might put yourself in a situation where they're the two or three unluckily that don't run. As this cycle's gone on, and if you have a chance to read about the current state of the altcoin market, it talks about how this altcoin market has been 1,000 times tougher than every previous one. And it's because of capital dispersion, attention fragmentation, retail capital destruction, the Solana casino. We used to, every single altcoin used to be able to pick a basket of 10, 20, 30, all of them would go up. If you were to do that now, maybe one or two will. And so you really need to be able to not diversify yourself extensively, but pick a good basket of coins and invest in them all on the off chance that 20% of them, 50% of them, 70% of them don't go up, but three of them really perform. And if you look into high conviction investments, you can actually see that's kind of happened, right? And some have ran far stronger than others. So the leading examples are obviously something like Solana, which has been the performer of this cycle, where we've got almost a 700% return. We've obviously taken some profits on that recently. Hyperliquid, obviously Bitcoin has been the big one. Ethereum is starting to get going. Doge and BNB have been great. But yeah, that's why it's important to get an entry into all of them. And so what you want to do is on each one, if you want to map out your own unit allocation to each one, let's say you want to put, or maybe let's just say you want to copy me, right? So let's just say you want to put 30 units into ETH. It might be that you put 5 units into ETH here, and then you strategically, either through my technical analysis or your own, place 5 unit bids from there on out to then eventually reach that 30 unit total, or you just periodically invest weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, daily, whatever it is. And it might be a unit per day, or 2 units per week, or 5 units per month, whatever it is to achieve a pretty solid average buy. Well, of course, old mate, but that's why the unit sizing is used and we don't use dollar terms, because you might say want to put 100 units into this market, and let's say you've got $10,000 to invest, right? So what's $10,000 divided by 100 units that you want to put into the market? That's $100 per unit. So your 5 unit entry or your 2 unit entry or 1 unit entry using $100 per unit might be only 500, 200, or 100. That to you is going to achieve the same ROI figures as someone using $1 million, $10 million, $100,000, whatever it is. That's why it's really important to use the units and not dollar figures. Um, I can't answer is a few $100s even classed as an entry, because to someone that might be half their bank balance, to someone else it might be a packet of chips. Do you know what I mean? So I can't really answer that. Um, yeah, I can't really answer that. But good questions nevertheless. Wait to see if any more come through. Maybe 6 feet. Does anyone have any questions about the market update in particular? Any technical analysis questions, even the monthly market recap that I went through yesterday? That was hopefully you guys are liking these monthly recaps that I'm going to do once a month now, that just kind of summarizes everything that happened. Just the generic kind of high time frame outlook. I hope this was a really good report for you guys to read. And then the weekly one looks at a more local support and resistance, so on and so forth. As I think Cal said, I think it's Cal on the Imperial Wealth crypto account. One, oh, I'm delayed on the live stream. Sorry, 1 second. Um, there's no silly questions at all. There's literally none. So please ask anything and everything. Yeah, Jason, I think you have a really hard time with the emotional side of this market, and fair enough, you just joined. Um, and I don't mean to, make fun of you or anything, but remember, this is one of those things where 2 weeks ago you were saying to us, damn, I'm too late. I wish I got in at lower prices and I wish prices dropped. I don't have enough in the market. And now that the time has come where the market has dropped, and funnily enough, I said to you then at the time, right? And you said, should I just put all of my money into the market at ass? And I told you not to. I said, funnily enough, you'll watch and learn, and you'll see that in crypto the next week. Ha, don't worry, Jason. I'm an emotional guy too. Um, Definitely not in crypto anymore, but in a general sense. And remember what I said to you then and there. I said crypto gives you an opportunity the very next week. It's never up in a straight line, contrary to popular belief. And look at where we are now, right? We've ETH has seen what, a 20% pullback maybe, or not so much now, but it had. Bitcoin, so negative 16,000 drop. Alts have obviously been come down to valuations, and now that that's happened and that's what you wanted, and that's what we're teaching you to embrace. Uh, yeah, you're getting too much fear, and that's fine. It's a normal human emotion. And when I first entered the market in your stage, I was the exact same. Everyone was, everyone would be lying if they said they didn't feel like what you feel like, Jason, right now when they first got into the market. But that's why I'm here. So like you directly asked me on the weekend whether these prices were good to get involved, and I said to you, in my professional opinion via the charts, I think this 107 to 108k level is really good level to begin getting involved because I see it as high time frame support. Um, and you know, I'm doing that to support you psychologically, that you can gain confidence from my analysis and my thoughts without me directly telling you that I think this is a really strong level and that I think we'll bounce from. And obviously, what's happened, right, is we've seen 107 to 108k hold for 4 to 5 days now, and now we're beginning to bounce quite strongly across the board, right? So Bitcoin's almost at 111,000. Ethereum's gone up. If we just get up the kind of the hourly chart. Uh, I'm still on log scale, aren't I? If anyone wants to know how to do logarithmic or log scale, as I call it, this is how you do it in the corner of TradingView. So yeah, Bitcoin, ETH got to as low as 4,200. We've already bounced to 4,400, right? Bitcoin got to as low as 107,000. It's up, $3,500. It was at that low this morning, right? So we've been retests of this level, but yeah, Jason, I think that's the most important part of this service, right? Is that I'm not an advisor to you, but I've been in the market for 12 hours a day, 24 hours a day sometimes. So those advanced traders with me know I've had sleepless nights for many, many years now, many cycles. So you need to lean on my psychological strength, my understanding of prices, and I'm not always going to get it right. Okay. And I might not be right this time. I'm right for now, but I'm not always right. But that's where you can lean on. You can really make the most of this service. I think that's one of the best things this service offers is that you have me to lean on, and you have like you shouldn't be worried about what's happening, or you shouldn't be putting all your time and effort into your own analysis and trying to figure things out. That's exactly what I'm here for. Pretty much exactly as Cal said. So I'm here to support you, and all TA members should be doing the same. So thanks, Kalia. Um, that's all good. It'll get there. Uh, yeah. Okay, Chris. FET and AI, yeah. So what I mean by that is that this market, and as I explain in the altcoin reports as well, is that um, it's very narrative ran. And what I mean by that is it's segmented into narratives where, not really at the moment, obviously the only narrative the market has is institutional involvement in ETH. Um, but largely last year, for everyone that was here could remember that was here last year, is that we would hop from memes to AI to AI agents to betting platform or whatever it was, and we'd hop from narrative to narrative. If you didn't get out fast enough, you have now seen the drawdown of those tokens. What I mean to say is that I think AI and crypto can do very big things together. But really, the tokens themselves only get great appreciation when the whole of the market is focusing on it, and it's one of the front-running narratives of the market. And at the moment, it isn't. So it's like you can mention FET, we can mention Tau, but what I'll do is like I'll get up this. We can go to So if I go to AI, right, and we can mention Tau, FET, so you'll see more here. Tau here. Where's FET? FET's here. So besides story IP, which is a unique case, as I show you year to date, Tau is down the least, and it is the largest by market capitalization now. But every single token, as you can see, majority are down 50 to 70% for the year. So nothing has really been immune to that, and it's just because of that narrative factor. Um, so hopefully that makes sense, Chris. Let me know if it does or you want me to expand. But yeah, it's not a project thing, it's always a narrative thing. And one of those, as I mentioned, is obviously um, yeah, AI and AI in itself. Uh, Douglas, no, you don't. To answer your question, plain and simple, you do not have to sell them and buy other coins. Almost every single coin that you have, if you have BTC, Ethereum, or High Conviction, can be utilized in DeFi. Every single one. The only one that maybe might not be able to fully is Tau. That's about it. Every single other one could be utilized for DeFi. Obviously, some are better because you have more access to larger arrays of protocols on that native token. So something like Sonic or ETH, you can obviously utilize a lot more for DeFi than you could say Pepe. That's a meme, but you can still utilize Pepe on those protocols to borrow, lend, earn yield, and more. So no, Douglas, to answer your question, you don't. Yeah, so that's exactly right, Chris. Um, it's more specific behavioral narrative. But as you said, I'm the same. I hold a lot of tau. Have my FET bag has been worth a lot more, which is really sad. When Bitcoin was $60,000 to $70,000, FET was $3.50. We're at 110,000 Bitcoin, 4,400 ETH, and FET is 60 cents, which hurts. But that's the name of the game, I guess. But yeah, I do believe the intersection of AI and crypto is super important, and they can utilize one another's technologies to really become a forefront of this world, Chris. So hopefully, I think as I say, this market isn't always rational, and it's probably more irrational than rational for majority of the time. So yeah, that's all I've got to really say about it. Moose, I missed your question. Sorry. What historical percentage rise of a token should we expect provided over token first? Um, Moose, as I've said in the research reports and many times in the Discord, it's more so collective profit taking because based on cycles, but cyclically. But we'll be doing kind of more specialized profit taking now that the cycle has played out differently. But once again, profit taking is up to you completely and your risk profile. What is a 20% gain to you and the amount of capital you have in this market is completely different to me and every single other member here. So I would recommend going and reading the profit taking research report, Moose, finding out your own and devising your own select way of profit taking and then sticking to that just as you would investing or holding or whatever it is. Jason, no thoughts really. Um, Very, very strong coin. I see it more as a meme coin, if anything. It's one of the best performers of the top, say, 50, 20 coins. That's because of its ability to market to the masses and to retail, but it's a complete scam if you look into it and do the history. By complete scam, I don't mean complete scam. I just mean it doesn't have a Genesis block. They removed it. The three owners pre-mined 97% of it and sell hundreds of millions on retail every month and still do. You can see this by the blockchain if you want to go and look at it yourself. This isn't a lie. But they do very well in marketing and mass marketing to retail and people who don't understand crypto, and that's why it will continue to go up and it does perform really well. So there's no shade on its ability to appreciate and do value and make money for people. This is what I said to Nat that had a question on Crom or Crypto.com the other week. I said, with Trump and stuff's involvement, there's plenty of money to probably be made on this coin, but I just morally can't recommend it to people just kind of like XRP, given the history of what I know of what the founders do, the changes to tokenomics and more. But, if you like it, go ahead and invest in it. It's done better than most things. So Keep the questions coming. ACHCG. I saw you deleted your comment. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Carly. I actually had a thought about WLFI today, but once again, it's just so hard to recommend a coin where Trump and co have already been dumping billions of that supply that they got unlocked on our heads. It's already retraced. Let's get the chart up. You know, WLFI. Let's see how this has gone. I've already got a chart of it up, apparently. So it is down. Like, look, it's even from yesterday. From yesterday, it's down. It was down as much as. So if you bought this coin yesterday, Kalia, you were down 50% today almost. If you bought it at launch on the top, you're down 50% as well. Or you were down. Well, now you're only down 33%. So it's a really tough one to invest in, right? Even on late Sunday night, if you bought it, just before the weekend came in, you were down as much as 50% again this morning, and now you're only down 35%. But once again, Kalia, it's interesting because it is Trump's sons, and I haven't actually put enough research into it, Kalia, but still can make a lot of money on this coin. Why? Because A, they are the great crime scammers of our times, the Trumps, as you know, and I've said many times. So uh, to answer your question, there's no reason to me if they control a lot of what goes on with this token and this market, if they don't dump enough, that it can't simply do this. I've had my own thoughts and reservations about investing in it, but just not yet. Just not yet. But yeah, you can kind of see this is where they launched. This is where all the owners and founders dump their tokens. It's happened again since yesterday. I'm actually going to see WLFI. Um, Yeah, and it's got huge value. So I think what it's already 24, so it'll be like 6 billion, 5 billion in market cap. I don't know. But I'll look into it more because they might have proposals. I think I saw a proposal floated where the treasury liquidity fees will be used for buying back and burning the token, which would be really good. But I'm going to just remain a little more patient on this one, Carly, and I'll look into it a bit more for you as well. Nat says, how do you see this cycle playing out in relation to the business cycle? If we're going to see rates drop now and US economy gets stronger, will crypto lose sync? Uh, I can't tell the future, Nat, so that's one of the more important questions on everyone's mind, I guess, is will crypto Bitcoin cycle follow the same previous cycle that it has every single time cyclically that I just showed you before? So we'll get that back up. Or will it follow the business cycle and liquidity cycle? Now, the important point to note in this, Nat, is that the crypto cycles and liquidity cycles and business cycles perfectly lined up in the past. Whether Satoshi Nakamoto was the greatest macroeconomist to ever live, and he purposely was able to achieve that, I do not know. But these cycles lined up with the previous liquidity cycles. But what's happened now is that we've got a completely different regime in marginal buyers and institutional involvement, right? So will we get 80% crashes? No one knows. I would task you with that question. Do you think we'll get 80% retracement if we do top out cyclically in October, November? That's where, if I get this one back up here, you know, will it be the exact same amount of days? 525 days accumulation, 350 to 400 days of a drawdown. I don't know. I don't know. And it's something I'll do a research. Oh, something I'll do a research report on for us, Nat. Taking a look at both sides of the coin, whether these two cycles will align again, both Bitcoins and the business/liquidity cycle. I personally lean that it doesn't, but it still means that we can take into account risk management with it, and in October, November, say, take a lot of profits on things, but not all profits in case we do get that continuation of the business cycle. But there's just so many questions here, Nat, because as well, that's assuming that these rate cuts are bullish, and not all rate cuts are bullish. They're not all equal, as you probably know. If these rate cuts are tending to be around really poor unemployment numbers, so on and so forth, that doesn't necessarily make it a bullish rate cut. We could get huge upticks in inflation as a result, and whether or not the new Fed chair that comes in that Trump appoints and Trump himself care about that, it could just mean that we get hugely raising inflation due to these tariffs, due to the too early rate cuts, so on and so forth, and immediately they pause that rate cutting cycle, and as opposed to continuation of rates being cut, they begin raising them again as a result of looking more like a recession as opposed to a bullish business cycle. So hopefully that answers your question, Nat. Let me know if you have any extended questioning on that because I know it was a big answer I just gave, but I kind of need to, and I barely even scratched the surface on the question because of how many metrics and how many different points there are to that question, I guess. Yeah, sorry, Moose. The reason why I'm not answering your question is because I don't have the answer. As I said, I probably when it, we don't have any set way we do it. We're not financial advisors. We can only recommend different methods that you can do. And then when we sell, you can feel true. I know you want the direct answer, but I can't legally give it to you. Um, so that's why I'm not answering that. And as I said, this this kind of this Q&A isn't for people to come and ask when we're buying, when we're selling. Would I buy this? Would you sell this? Try to limit those questions because yeah, we legally can't answer you. But Moose, as I've laid out, in many outlooks and many market updates, is I'm looking to sell in coming months and de-risk on a lot of those tokens. So I can't foresee and tell you exactly what the price rises will be on that. I can't tell you. I don't know what they'll be. I don't know if we'll even get them. So as you've seen, I took profit on Solana at 600%. Um, and for the other ones, I'm remaining a bit more patient on. But I think you've asked, will IW start taking profit when an 80% rise occurs? Uh, yeah, we don't do that at the moment. It's specific case to case for different coins, different narratives. So for instance, Moose, it might be that, in a month or two I sell everything, but I'm holding on to my ETH and Bitcoin because I foresee and I put more units into those because it's really going to be an institutional cycle. And it might be that Ethereum, if you read the update from today, which I don't think you have, I discussed that at the end where we might see Ethereum climb above 5,000, but because the marginal buying in this market is all just going towards Ethereum, um, that it might be worth us putting more eggs in that basket and that other altcoins aren't following. So, I think as Will or Cal just said then, yeah, we dollar cost out. We dollar cost average in, we don't dollar cost average out. So, um, I will, to help you out, I will try and go through each token soon enough and I'll give rough estimate targets, but it's really hard to ascertain very specific percentage targets or price targets on different coins. But Moose, I know you don't like the personal preference. I feel like I feel like I give you that answer a lot, but you really need to understand that everyone your perception to risk and how much capital you have in this market is completely different to me and completely different to everyone else. You have your own profit taking goals, your own idea of what you would be satisfied with, and then you can loosely base it on mine, but stick to your own plan. That's the best way to go about it, 100%. Any more questions? I'll wait a bit longer. Nat, are you and Kalia related? Or maybe this is, I thought that was a different Nat. Oh, Nat. Oh, sorry. No, I was thinking of the Nat that recently signed up. So Nat and Kalia are in here together on different accounts. Love seeing that. Um, yeah, Moose, I would once again, I would read the analysis and what I actually say in the in the update regarding Pepe and why we hold it as a token. But you are correct in stating it has no intrinsic value. 99% of cryptocurrencies don't have intrinsic value, just to notify you of that. Uh, the difference being Pepe, whilst I don't fully invest on intrinsic value, invest in what I think will make us money. As I said, I'm not always right, and at the moment I'm not right on Pepe. I would have been right, or I was right earlier in December if you go and look at the historical price action. Um, So, uh, yeah, the short answer to you there, Moose, is that Pepe is a cultural phenomenon meme that you might not know about if you're not on social media or you haven't been a part of it for the last 10 to 20 years. But Pepe the Frog is pretty much, one, and particularly in crypto, the largest used meme online. Um, so, um, yeah, the reason behind initially investing in that, and we had over 300% in profits in last December. Just unfortunately, last time Ethereum was 4K, Pepe was 27 to 30 cents. Now it's at 9 to 10 cents. This time around when Ethereum almost reached 5K. But the main reason is Moose is that it's the number one meme, or was one of the number one memes on Ethereum. It's a cultural phenomenon. This at one point was a meme. You weren't here, but it was a meme coin super cycle where memes as assets actually in this market ran the hardest. So we want to get exposure to that. To answer your question. Oh, someone asked about good YouTubers. I don't use YouTube, guys. Oh, apart from your research, but what are your favorite resources, including YouTubers, to follow? I don't follow any YouTubers, so I hope someone else can hopefully answer that. Um, I actually can't really answer your question, Jason. I don't lean on too much other stuff, just my own research and work. But maybe I'll get a list to you, Jason. I'll have a think about it and I'll do some research and get back to you. Mike, to base my decisions on technical analysis, not on price or fundamental. Well, price is based on technical analysis, Mike. So I do base it on price. Base it on the technical analysis of price. I don't base my day-to-day or intricate, decisions on fundamental analysis, but I definitely base my investing decisions whether to buy something on fundamental analysis, Mike. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I'm not going to just buy something that has, no fundamentally sound reasoning to buy it. Um, that wouldn't make sense, right? So if you read every single buy post or token analysis I do for every token, that's the fundamental analysis behind the token and the explanations as to why I'm buying it. But I will base a lot of my taking profit or entries on technical analysis because that's what I've learnt and that's what I feel is stronger. I'll ask you plain and simply, if you're a fundamental, I'll ask all of you as fundamental traders or investors, how's that gone in crypto so far for you? So when the fundamentals are going really strong, has price gone against you, or has it not really made sense? Or what has your experience been like fundamentally investing and trading? I would like anyone to answer, really. Beautiful, Carly and Nat. And Towns flying to Tassie. Beautiful. Oh, you're gonna get a shock of cold. The only place I know colder than Melbourne, Carlia and that. Um, Hopefully that made sense, Mike. But I think if you go back and you review how we invested into Bitcoin and how we dollar cost averaged into Ethereum, Solana, I did this based off technical analysis. If I based it on fundamental analysis, I would have been killed. Uh, I would have been too scared to invest around FTX. I would have been too scared to invest in Solana with the FUD that was going on. I would have been too scared to invest in Bitcoin. It dropped to 80% and people were calling it dead. People were going on the Joe Rogan podcast saying it'll go to zero. Every government hated it. Australia still wasn't really allowing much to do with it. If I based my investing on fundamentals, I would have had zero crypto right now. But just following the charts, the pullbacks, the cycles, the technical data points behind it all, I was able to execute dollar cost averages, and that's why we're here. Moose, can you talk about? Yeah, definitely, Mike. And I'm not saying this is a got ya, but even and as I said to Jason before, I'm emotional. And there's been times recently I've been sitting here and I've been going, why is Bitcoin going down? Fundamentally, there's this person investing. Donald Trump is saying this. The UK just did this. Australia's doing this. And you think of all the fundamentals and you're asking yourself, why is Bitcoin crashing? And it just doesn't make sense. And it's because Bitcoin is a tradable asset that my OG members remember that I always say is a barometer of liquidity. It is very, 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 very liquidity based. And you can see it all in the charts. But most importantly, I think, Mike, and for those that are watching still, this is why the Advanced Investor course is so important because it goes over macroeconomics, microeconomics, crypto-specific concepts, portfolio construction and allocation, and then at the end, the last one actually has the basics of technical analysis, where you can actually learn and begin to understand the charts. I send you a lot better because it will teach you about support and resistance. It will teach you about different patterns. It will teach you about oscillators and indicators. It will teach you about Fibonacci retracements and extensions, so on and so forth. So, um, um, yeah, and I'd like to reiterate the point. I think hype in the market, or for example, US building, yeah, exactly, Mike, exactly, well said. So, that's why, and like you're beginning to explain why I don't base it on that, right? Because imagine if I woke up and I said to you guys, the Genius Act has been passed. Bitcoin's currently 110,000. We're going to 200,000. Like it's ridiculous. Like you know what I mean? Like it's. I feel like other services and maybe other companies do this. Um, so yeah, I don't do that. I like to keep it real. The charts never lie, Mike. That's the thing. And you can work out invalidation. You can structurally plan. You can't do that around fundamentals. You're essentially just trying to either react late to a fundamental event or point, or you're trying to front run something. You're trying to guess. Whereas technical analysis, you're using the charts to your advantage. So hopefully, along this journey, that's going to make more sense to you as we go on. And even so, let's like talk about the recent one, Mike. Like, so I foresaw weeks ago, like I made it pretty clear that if we lost 112k, I'm looking to the daily candle sweep of liquidity at the pivot golden pocket, 107 to 108k. I really want to see us show sustained strength from that level, and I do believe that's a good level to get involved back in the market and begin investing, right? And what's happened since is we lost 112k. We've gone to that level. Um, We've now bounced significantly, $3,000 to $4,000 doesn't mean, that's worked out, but it's impossible for me to foresee that using fundamentals. I can't structurally plan for that for you guys and just guess fundamentally that or randomly that level is a good level and there'll be a good fundamental event that happens tonight, and that's the reason why we bounced, if that makes sense. Um, cool, Carlia. I'll check that out. Invest out west for everyone that wants to check out Carlia and Nat's um, podcast. I'll definitely give that a watch. Moose, just your question on. I don't really have anything to add, Moose, to the pretty extensive written answer I gave you in the Discord. I can't talk about all the different hot and cold wallets. Um, as I said, my recommendations for EVM, which is Ethereum Virtual Machine. Majority of altcoins you invest in are EVM coins, so things like Sonic, Link, even FET. These can be ERC20 tokens, and what this means is you can hold them on an EVM wallet, Moose. And as I said, our two recommendations for EVM hot wallets are MetaMask and Rabbi. Um, Douglas, I have never ever been hacked in my life. People seem to think that if you use hot wallets, it's based on what you do. If you don't go on scammy websites, if you don't click broken links, if you don't download shifty programs, if you don't share your password or your hotkeys, sorry, your private keys or your password with anyone else, you're not going to get hacked, plain and simple. But for those that do worry about that, this is then why we recommend cold wallets, Moose, where you can utilize Ledger or Trezor, store it offline. No one can touch it, and you can't even be susceptible to being hacked because you don't have websites and stuff that you're clicking on that your hot wallet might get hacked on. But Moose, as I said to you in that answer, EVM wallets, MetaMask or Rabbi. I'm old school. I'm OG. I refuse to change because I'm a stubborn bastard. So I stay on MetaMask. But most people use Rabbi now, Moose. So we've got as it says in the onboarding, as it shows you in the Knowledge Center, we have tutorials on how to set these up. Feel free to watch those to set them up. You can simply type in on YouTube as well, MetaMask tutorial, Rabbi wallet setup tutorial, and you'll have heaps of different resources to help you set these up. For Solana, I use Phantom. Once again, there's a heap of different Solana wallets you can use, but I just use Phantom as that's what I'm used to, and I refuse to change. Um, then obviously you have Potenza wallet for Tau. That's the only other wallet relevant to our high convictions. And then, as I mentioned, the cold wallets as well. So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that answers your question too, Douglas. You're not likely to have your hot wallet hacked if you don't do those things I said. So don't go on dodgy websites. Don't click scammy links. If you get an email saying your wallet has been hacked or your wallet does this, don't click the links. Don't read scammy emails. Just only keep your fingers and your wallet to yourself. Don't do anything silly, and you'll likely never ever get hacked. Um, Yeah, exactly, Kalia. I'm glad because I think that's once again for you guys that kind of read my market updates or the Discord is that you're also different. And you know, I was explaining this to Moose before in terms of profit taking and different things. Is you're all different people. You all learn differently. You all analyze differently. You all comprehend things differently. So what I try and do is I try and provide. That's what those huge market updates are for. I'll give you all the written out news updates, and then I'll make kind of commentary on the fundamentals, such as the accumulation of corporate treasuries or ETFs or different laws that are being passed in the US and why these are important, rate cuts and macroeconomics, but then showing you the technical analysis of the charts. And then, of course, as I've been mentioning, my preference is technical analysis because over the years in crypto, it hasn't made much sense for me to just purely follow fundamentals. I found following the charts to be much more accurate, precise, and obviously helpful in both investing and selling. Cool, nice one, Dan. As I said, guys, if we go to the Knowledge Center here, look, I'll show you. So you guys have got this all on your thing for free. So it's a full Knowledge Center where I've written out articles on Bitcoin, on crypto, on mining. So you type in wallet, right? Come to here, type in wallet. And it comes into cryptocurrency wallets. It'll tell you exactly what a cryptocurrency wallet is. It'll then tell you what a seed phrase and master passwords are. So you've got related articles on the side, right? And it goes, okay. And you go, oh, okay, well, Mitch mentioned Trezor and Ledger. Oh, and he also mentioned MetaMask. And Exodus is another form of hot wallet that some people like using. Obviously, they're more for miners as well. And you go, okay, well, Mitch uses MetaMask, and I know what a wallet is now. I know what a cold wallet is. And you go, and you might go, okay, I want to set up a ledger, a cold wallet. So you come here. I've actually linked here the exact um, guide to setting up Ledger. And then it might go back and you might go, okay, I want to set up a MetaMask wallet. Well, how do I set up a MetaMask wallet? I've done, a full And then Will's done a full masterclass video on setting up your second wallet. So Will has all of these masterclass videos online that teach you different things
Wix.
in
One.
crypto. So please go and view those. You know, you've got all these resources at the tip of your fingers, and whilst I can sit here and explain it to you, you've got it in written and in video detail here. So Moose, definitely go and check out the Knowledge Center. I think they could help you a lot and learn everything about wallets right in here, how to set them up, what they are, the different ones, and you can use this on top of my answer to help you out. Yeah, Mike, funny you say that because when I tell people now that I still use MetaMask, they literally call me an idiot. They say like, "What are you doing? He's Rabbi." I tell them to get stuffed. I just can't be bothered changing and learning a new wallet. I'll need to do it eventually, Mike. I tell you that for free. I am a weirdo. I am a weirdo if you haven't already noticed, Mike. So don't need to tell me that. Oh, what's going on over here? Oh, bloody hell. Come on, Biddy. Hopefully you can sustain the strength overnight. Um, Elaborate for me, Chris, like teaching you what a stablecoin is, or so if we go to home, stable, I'll teach you what stablecoins are here. Really, it's pretty generic, but if you go into here, Chris, it does tell you about the different types. I do talk about Tether USDT here, but really small, so it's generic. Yeah, so Chris, definitely the two recommendations from me for stablecoins when you are selling out into coins is just USDT and USDC. They're the two biggest ones by market cap. If I take you to here, marketcap.com, you'll see here that Tether has the third largest market cap of any cryptocurrency on the globe of 168 billion. Then in seventh is USDC, which is 71 billion. They're the two most safe and most recommended stablecoins to sell your crypto out into to hold as just stable USD. Um, so no comment from me, Chris. You do what you want. Ah, Chainlink's almost in the top 10. Deserves to be here. The great flippening between Link and XRP is underway. Just as an FYI. Geez, Hyperliquid's 12th now. Jesus. Sonic needs to get back into the top 50. Tell you that for free, my friends. Alrighty, we're getting towards the hour mark, so I'll give it another minute or two if you have any questions before we do this. Uh, oh, by the way, Sonic passed their institutional governance proposal, I think today or yesterday. I'll get an update out on that. Oh yeah, here you go. Sonic Labs DAO approves a US ETF. So 150 million in tokens to fund the ETF pipe and Sonic USA launch. BitGo will be the custody. Yeah, so here's to hoping, guys, that the fastest blockchain on the entire earth as part of the EVM family deserves to get some love at last. Um, Good question, Mike. I guess it's just kind of like answering why do we have so many different cryptos for the one purpose? Fees and money. But Circle USDC is it's different regions as well, Mike. That's probably the reason why there's so many. So Tether isn't a US based stablecoin, although it follows the USD, whereas USDC is. Um, yeah, me too, Mike. Me too. Um, just sad. It's very sad what's happened with Sonic. I pretty much can't believe it, but um, it's not over and out yet. Um, but to answer your question, I'll actually get back to you in more detail on that, Mike, because yeah, it's probably a pretty good question. But I guess yeah, it's just different companies and foundations creating stable coins to then provide it, but so then they can make money, I guess, by providing a service that mirrors the USD fiat coin. So Tether as a company, in case you didn't know, Mike, is pretty much one of the most profitable companies on the entire globe. And what they do is they make so much money from supplying USDT as a USD stablecoin that they have Bitcoin reserves. They hardly have many employees, and they're pretty much one of the most profitable businesses on the earth. I'll give it a couple more minutes, see if there's any more questions, and then I'll let you guys go and enjoy your real lives. No more questions? I'll give it one more minute till 8 o'clock. Feel free to send any follow-up questions into the Discord. What I want to see a lot of you guys do more um, is ask questions of the market updates if you want. Maybe it all makes sense to you and it's very clear what I lay out, but I imagine it's not. And a lot of it's a lot to take in, even the monthly recaps and seeing you guys ask questions about the macroeconomics, asking questions about the inflation, and ask questions about the rate cuts, ask questions about the different support resistance levels for Bitcoin and Ethereum, so on and so forth. And if you've got no questions, then that's perfectly fine. I just imagine there are some at some points, but in any case, we'll wrap that up. It's been what, a good hour. Some really good questions came in. Hopefully there was a lot of newcomers. Obviously, I noticed a few of you, Moose, Jason, Nat, and Kalia are not new. Mike, you've been around for a while, haven't you? I think you have. Dan, though, thanks for coming. Thanks everyone for coming once again. Douglas, thanks for coming. Nat and Kalia, of course. Oh, Scott, I missed your question. Sorry about Dodge, uh, Dogi. Um, yeah, look, Scott, it's the king of memes. It relates to my answer before about Pepe. He's the longest lasting meme in this market. Doge is the king of it. It has the richest man on the planet in its corner, although he's quite silent on it at the moment. But as you said, the fundamentals are coming together for a potential ETF approval. And then also the corporate treasury accumulation, even as we saw, Elon Musk's lawyer, which I'll get an article out on tomorrow. I should have got an article out on it. Is beginning a $200 million corporate treasury accumulation for Doge. So, yeah, I'm not giving up on Doge yet. I'm already in pretty good profits, but I do see it, reaching a dollar this cycle. God forbid that we get that alt season. So, wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it. Obviously, as I said, we'll run more of these. I think this worked much better if Moose is still there than the last one. We might not need to do a Zoom call. I think the written questions in here works well without everyone speaking over the top of each other on a Zoom call. I just had much better internet and screenage here. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and I'll see you on the